Be with me. Be with me.
Hi, welcome back to Toy Photographer. My name's Patrick, and today we're going over behind the scenes of Rey, Power of the Galaxy, number 577. So the first thing we needed to do was find an image that was really going to fit and sell that scene that we wanted to recreate, and that you can see Funko did such a fine job of in the sculpt from Rise of Skywalker, of Rey floating and concentrating in the forest, having the rocks float around, very serene in the forest. So we want to capture that. So I found this image with my subscription to Adobe Stock and put that in the virtual volume, as I call it, which is my computer monitor, and set that a few feet away. Again, it's going to help sell that depth here. And then we went and concentrated on lighting Rey. So we started out with our main light, again using my Lume Cubes. We started with a 5-light setup, and I started with the main light hitting Rey here in the front, basically lighting her up just as a general kind of way to start separating her from the backdrop. Then to again help sell that backdrop and that really beautiful lighting coming from the backlight through the forest, I chose to use the boom in that same kind of fashion and have the light coming here from the top, really kind of sculpting out her head. I used another Lume Cube with some barn doors and some diffusion on that to again come right through the side here and give a little more accent light to Rey. I then used a fill light coming from this left side here, which you'll see basically comes across and hits Rey and fills in all the little shadows where her legs are crossed, things like that. And then I added another Lume Cube diffused and with a snoot coming from the right side, more like a rim light, again adding a little more separation to our subject. While I was doing this, and you can even see possibly through the iPhone here, I was getting a little bit of light being cast from our main light here onto the backdrop. So I had cut this out for another project where I shot a diorama and made this a door frame. So we're just going to set that there, and that basically is going to hard and block the light from exposing and spilling onto our backdrop. So that's how we did this portion. Next we're going to go into Photoshop, and we're going to give Rey a little bit of retouch, play with the levels a little bit, and we're going to do another shot after this where we're going to add the rocks in under the same lighting conditions, and we're just going to Photoshop those and add that onto a layer in Photoshop, and we'll see that next. All right, our next step to complete this image was to bring it into Photoshop, and we're going to do a little retouching, removing the base, some reflections around Rey's cheeks, and we're going to add a little warming filter, and then finally add our rocks. So again, like I said before, I duplicate the original layer and I do all my retouching on that. And you'll see here we remove the acrylic base that Funko put there and did a really nice job to sell that floating effect. I then just quickly remove those little reflections from our main light here, and then added a little bit of a warming filter. Again, I just thought that was really necessary. Now, one of the other things I did is off camera from what we saw earlier is I did another shot, which you'll see here, where I actually used the rocks that I got 3D printed from my friend Ian Butler of IB3D. Thanks a lot, mate. And I was able to add those rocks to this image here. I basically just set them on top of the lids of my Nano Misters and put that in. As you can see, I did actually add one additional light, and the cabling was in that, and I didn't care since I was just taking the rocks. But that was back in this area here. Again, just trying to sell the rocks in the same lighting condition. But what we then did is brought those in and photoshopped those rocks out, and also wanted to color match, so I gave them the same warming filter that I did to Rey earlier. So that really, to me, when we put all those pieces together, really combine and sell that image that we saw Rey floating in the Rise of Skywalker. So with that said, all I then did is just add my logo and called it good. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Toy Photographer. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, hit the like button, and click that notification bell so you don't miss another episode. Until then, may the Force be with you.